It is the original Triple Ailment fighter from the days of Medarot 2, and anyone who's played the GBA game will know this particular Troublemaker and Chimera type very, very well. It is KMR00 Triple Gottsun, with a kit of Melt, Hold, Virus, Multi-Legs, and the leg ability of Torturer, which buffs base power to equipped parts for every negative ailment or debuff applied to a target. Now, as I mentioned, those who played the GBA game will know this Troublemaker very well as someone who really loved not necessarily to nuke people, but more get under their skin and make life absolutely miserable for them. Now, as an ailment fighter, even in modern games, this is absolutely no exception, and he has not veered far from this path. Melt, as an ailment-based skill, simply put, will apply a damage over time effect on the enemy target, which means as long as the effect is not removed, it will progressively eat their HP every tick or so of the Robattle clock as they run back and forth across the line, making it much easier not just for himself, but also for pretty much any ally that he's partnered with to come behind him or nuke them very quickly and very easily with the reduced HP. Hold, as another ailment skill, will simply put, will debuff the enemy's heat and cool, or their general overall movement speed, by about 25%, and in addition will also prevent the foe from being able to dodge, which means that all incoming attacks are guaranteed to land no matter what, as well as the added bonus they move just a little bit slower, making it much easier to outrun them. Left Arm of Virus is a well-loved and very versatile ailment, and arguably the most versatile of his entire kit, that simply put is a turn-skipping skill, which means upon attacking a target in their heat phase, as in Triple Gottsun outruns them to the center line, it will force that target to waste their turn effectively and have to run all the way to the center line to finish the turn, do nothing, and then turn around and start their cooldown phase, which will buy yourself that extra time against a particularly deadly nuker or a particularly dangerous target that you want to buy yourself a couple turns from. Honestly, the Torture ability is honestly a very, very fitting leg ability for Triple Gottsun 2, given that he applies 3 different kinds of negative ailments, and under those ideal situations, even if he isn't packing pierce damage, which he is not, if you can manage to apply through all 3 ailments to an enemy, that honestly guarantees that every hit that lands after that second or third application is going to be very painful no matter what. Honestly, across the board too, his stats are very nice, moderately tanky, and as the original Chimera type going forward, it is honestly of no exception that he has very good versatility across the board. One of his biggest weaknesses, however, of course, is that anyone that is using Stat Cleanse can make any of his attacks effectively worthless aside from nothing more than minimal or moderate damage. As a pure set score, I do honestly have to rate Triple Gottsun, aside from this, however, a very solid 7 out of 10 across the board. Honestly, all 3 of his elements do not really interrupt with each other or inhibit each other, so they synergize very well as something that he can apply to every single enemy, which also prevents him from being countered with the redundancy argument, as Melt, Hold, and Virus, even if all 3 are negative ailments, give completely separate debuffs in this case. And the Torture ability honestly does synergize with these even more so, making him even more deadly than he was before. As mixed parts, I do have to rate him just a little bit higher at a 7.5 out of 10, given that even though Melt may be something you don't use super often, if at all, probably the least used of his 3 ailments, Hold probably it would have a very solid place in some teams too, but Virus will definitely be the MVP part in this case. And while his legs as multi have pretty good coverage across most terrains, the Torture ability does honestly give an emphasis that if you are going to use these legs, you definitely want to pair them off with someone who's going to be your dedicated ailment fighter in this case. Using his basic arm of Virus in this case, or his other arm or head, will only make this even better, but the more negative ailments you can pile on, the better.